Good afternoon, everyone. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Mustang Field for the 2026 Spring Classic. It's the game where everything's made up and the points don't matter. Tonight's event will be made up of 3 halves, and if that sounds irrational to you, I assure you it simplifies to a fraction. In our first half, we will have the Leesburg Yellowjackets taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Then coming up in the second half, Horizon will take the field, and in the third half, we will complete the combination we have not yet seen. Second down for the Yellowjackets.
And a handoff, trying that left side. Of course, Wekiva, a couple of very disappointing seasons under the previous coaching regime, winning only 4 games, 3 2 years ago, 1 last year. So they're certainly looking to rebound, improve this year. Of course, when you win 4 games over 2 seasons and 1 over your last, a lot of room for improvement, Mark, and that task has been given to Ashton Watts, who comes over from McCoy staff.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. Wekiva looking to see if they can get back to proper varsity form as we get a flag on the play. Obviously, a lot left on the table from the 2025 football season, and we're going to get a false start called against the Yellow Jacket offense, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and a replay of third down. So, again, this is the Spring Jamboree. So, for those not familiar, and by the way, welcome to the broadcast. We had a little bit of a shotgun start there because we got our equipment set up literally seconds before they snapped the ball. So, let me give you a little bit of introduction. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva High School. I'm joined by Neil Fisher, longtime Apopka sports journalist, and we are the in-house crew here for the Wekiva Mustangs. If you have not joined us before, welcome to Mustang Field. We're glad to have you. The format of tonight's game. Most high school teams with varsity programs will compete in either a spring classic or a spring jamboree. There are no seniors participating in tonight's game, so this is all freshmen, sophomores, and juniors.
Yeah, because of course seniors graduate, so there's no point.
Right, they won't be on next year's team anyway, so there wouldn't be any point in having them. Their eligibility has expired, and they are no longer here at Wekiva. They walked out earlier in the week, and they'll be back for graduation next week, and that'll be the end of that. So they're
riding off into the sunset on the white horse.
Correct. So, or maroon horse, as the case may be. So this is essentially the first event of season 20, really more than it is the last event of season 19. This is a preview. This is a chance to see where you are, because football is one of those sports that does have authorized practice in the spring. You'll notice that you did not see a lot of movement on the scrimmage there because this is treated almost like flag football in terms of kicking plays. So you're not allowed to rush or cross the line of scrimmage during a kicking play, and the ball is dead wherever it's caught. So if that sounds familiar to flag football, that's again, we're not in high risk mode yet. We don't want to take chances with injuries. This game again does not count on anybody's record, win or lose. It is not part of your Max Preps power rankings for next season or anything like that, one way or the other.
Strictly a scrimmage, and also there is an element that you want your special teams to get their work in, their repetition and practice in as well. And now, bad snap, and there's certainly, as you said, Mark, a chance to work on what you're struggling with. And, of course, Mark and I, we have full-time jobs, so we can't come out to most of the practices. But I guess right off the bat, when you can't make the snap, that means you need to work on it.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. And there's also a couple of things about the format here.
So that'll put the ball back at the 35 of Wekiva.
So these events are always played in either a classic format or a jamboree format. And until 2 days ago, this was going to be a classic. The difference is that in a classic, it is a full regulation game. 4 quarters, 2 halves, ball switches sides at the usual time, and there are just 2 teams that participate, just like you would see on any regular season contest. In a Jamboree, you have more than 2 teams. Could be 3, could be 4, and you play not more than 2 quarters between each combination of opponents. And so a couple of days ago, Horizon needed, now another bad snap, goodness.
2 in a row there, both the same problem over the quarterback.
Flag on the play. We'll see what this is.
Got 9:28 remaining in this first quarter. Again, as Mark said, 1 quarter.
Personal foul to the helmet called against the Yellow Jacket defense.
So that'll be our first down of season 20, Mark.
Yeah, penalties are not automatic first downs in high school, but that one almost can't not be.
Wekiva catching a big break there. That'll put him right at midfield.
So as I started to mention, we are in a Jamboree format, so that means that it'll be Wekiva versus Leesburg for 2 quarters. And then we'll switch. And I believe, I'm not sure about this yet, I believe Horizon will come to face Leesburg next, so Wekiva will get a couple of quarters off, and then Wekiva will come back for 2 more quarters at the end here, and they will play against Horizon. So each combination of Wekiva versus Leesburg versus Horizon represented 2 quarters each, and that's what you're going to see tonight. So this is the first of those.
As Wekiva continues on offense after that penalty, it'll be a 1-yard gain as they try to pound that left side. No room there. The Leesburg defense so far has been stiff. Of course, only 5 plays now, actually 4 plays now. But nonetheless, that small sample, certainly they have had the upper hand minus that 1 roughing penalty. The unsportsmanlike contact. And by the way, since you marked it, the Horizon Hawks are now in the stadium walking in front of us.
Avante Scott on the carry. That was a pickup of 1. It brings up 2nd and 9 for the Mustangs from the Leesburg 49-yard line.
Out of the 1-back set, new quarterback in, number 3. He's going to do a draw there on the right side, and Wekiva's biggest gain of the day. Some weaving and some angle there. Nice run. That'll gain him about 7 yards. They'll bring up 3rd and short as we drop under 8 minutes in the first quarter. And it'll put the ball at the 43-yard line. First 3rd down conversion for Wekiva, attempt that is. And actually mark it to 42, so it's about 2.5 yards. And we're not going to get the play
Flag
off.
on the play.
It's in the backfield.
Prior to the snap. Illegal shift is called against the Mustang offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and it remains 3rd down.
So I guess the good news if you're Wekiva is that usually when the referee standing behind the play throws that flag, it's for holding. They didn't hold that time, but it's a 5-yard penalty. It'll make it 3rd and 8. And over the middle, first down. Nice pass, nice catch. Wekiva will maintain possession as the chains move.
Dominique Walker makes the catch. That's about a gain of 10 as it pulls the ball down to the 38-yard line. 1st and 10 Mustangs.
So, Mark, first down of this Jamboree, and as you said, you can even credit it towards season 20.
Flag on the play. Yeah, actually, we will have new graphics for next year as we get offsides called against the Leesburg defense. 5-yard donation to the Mustang cause and a replay of 1st down. So, yes, we got a new logo So not necessarily an entirely new graphics package, but we have a new logo that looks not so much like we stole the Denver Broncos logo and gave it a palette swap on the colors. Orange County Marketing designed that for us. We are rolling it out. We'll be using it at graduation next week, so we just haven't had a chance to make new graphics for the scoreboard yet here, but Wekiva will have new branding next year.
And speaking of Wekiva, 2nd and 5 at the Leesburg 33, motion left to right. One back set lined up directly behind the quarterback. Our first quarterback's back in there. Nice little flop pass, and that'll bring up another first down. Wekiva now stringing it together, 2 first downs in a row. And I believe they're not quite down to the red zone inside the 20. Looks like they're down to about the 22.
Pass is complete to Robert Hollis. That takes the ball just inside the 20-yard line at the 19 and brings up 1st and 10 for the Mustangs. 5:51 to go in the first quarter. We'll pause here for our official timeout as we head into the water break. Want to thank you for joining us here at Mustang Field for tonight's game. We also want to remind you, if you are here in the stadium, we are live streaming tonight's game on YouTube and the NFHS network. So if you have friends or family back in Leesburg, back in Winter Garden, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world, and they would like to join us virtually for today's festivities, they can go to the official online home of the Florida High School Athletic Association, and that would be NFHS Network. That's NFHSnetwork.com or the NFHS Network app on your favorite mobile device. Now, that one requires a membership, but if you're not a member there, that's perfectly fine. We're glad to provide this one for you for free. That is on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports. Just open up the YouTube app on your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device. Search for Wekiva Sports, and it will come right up for you.
So Wekiva finding their mojo here, so to speak, finding a rhythm after a poor start, 3 plays, minimal gain. Then they got a penalty. A personal foul, which moved the ball up to midfield, and they've strung together 2 consecutive first down plays, 10 yards plus on both of them, and they're knocking on the proverbial door. 1st and 10 at the Leesburg 19, and as Mark said, 5:26 remaining in the first quarter. The snap, and there was your problem on that first 2 plays. Bad snaps, and this could take all the momentum away. It's going to be close to 20-yard loss. It'll be officially a 16-yard loss. So not even quite as bad as I originally thought, but
quarterback Dominic Sanguine has to chase down a bad snap, and that will pull the Mustangs back to the 36-yard line. The line to gain is the 9. If I can do the math in my head, that is now 2nd and 25.
Yeah, and of course, as you said, Mark, stats don't count as well as the score, but if they did, that's a 17-yard loss.
Well, and
similar to that up just because, to use your old phrase, contributed to the Leesburg cause.
Sure. Yeah, similar to a preseason classic, whether you're talking about the NFL or, the high school or college levels, any of these exhibition games, the whole point is essentially to, audition for the regular season. Another bad snap. That one, at least, Sanguine is able to
live to fight.
Yeah, he's able to wrangle that one in and get off an incomplete pass, so at least it doesn't dig the hole any deeper. But still, 3rd and 25 coming up for the Mustangs. Oh, excuse me. Flag on the play. An illegal forward pass is called on the Mustangs, so Sanguine unable to bail out the bad snap on the previous play in a legal manner, so that penalty will force the Mustangs all the way back into their own territory. The ball is spotted at the 46-yard line. Let's see, that's 41-yard line plus 4 makes 45. 3rd and 45 coming up for the Mustangs.
So, Mark, I guess I should have kept my mouth shut there. I mentioned that they seem to have found their rhythm, their mojo, putting together a couple of first down plays. And now we've had 2 bad plays, which again, same problem as the first 2 plays. Bad snap. And, coaches always talk about there's a difference between making a mistake because the opponent caused it and self-damaging.
All right, that wasn't a stellar snap, but it'll do. Sanguine was able to reel it in. The pass is complete to Bakari Manley, number 2, and that will have no gain on the play. It remains 4th and 45 for the Mustangs. And Neil, even though it doesn't count, I feel like this is a punting situation.
Yeah, I think so when you're over 40 yards, regardless of where you are on the field.
I mean, unless it's my brother-in-law when he plays Madden NFL, I don't think you go for it on 4th and 45.
Yeah, unless it's the last play of the game. So again, if you did join us late, there is no rush. Defense is not on when there's punts. Don't want to take a risk of anybody getting injured in a scrimmage. Also, it's an opportunity for the punters to work on their distance, some other areas, as well as the long snapper getting his reps in. And
as a reminder, all kicking plays in a spring jamboree do not involve rushing, and so the ball is dead wherever it is caught, and that would be at the 32-yard line. So the Yellow Jackets will take over from there with 1st and 10. 2 minutes, 46 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And again, quarter being used loosely here. It's really the first half of the first half, however you want to think about it. Bottom line, 24 total minutes of play between each of these teams. And we'll get a timeout called by Leesburg. Leesburg requests their first timeout.
0-0 your score. Neither team able to move the ball, particularly with much distance in that first opportunity. Leesburg's second opportunity. Now, we've seen a number of self-destructive mistakes. Of course, I think if you have to give the nod to which ones was more self-destructive, it would be Wekiva, 4 bad snaps on their opening possession. This is a jamboree, which means there are 3 teams playing. Horizon, the other team. They have entered the stadium. They are sitting to our right now. And each quarter, and as Mark said, we use the term quarter loosely, the teams trade off. Each team will have the opportunity to play 2 quarters or 2 halves. As the one back set, handoff, trying to pound ahead. So we have yet to see Leesburg really open up the offense, except on 3rd and long. They've stuck close to the vest, as they like to say. Just running that ball and running it between the tackles. Wekiva, of course, really, I believe you could. It would take a few minutes here for me to look it up, but I do believe the last 2 seasons have been the worst in Wekiva history in terms of total victory. And actually, yes, now that I think about it, they won 4 games in their second season. They did not win any in their first. So it would equal their worst, as the longest gain now from scrimmage by Leesburg, running back powering ahead there. Nice run, kept the legs churning.
Yellow Jackets pick up a gain of 5 on the rush. That'll bring up 3rd and 5 from their own 37-yard line.
So Wekiva winning 4 games over the last 2 seasons. 1 in last year and 3 2 years ago, prompting a coaching change. Ashton Watts coming over from the Ocoee coaching staff, taking over. That's her situation.
Of course, Leesburg under the guard of Kennard Lang is a familiar name to Wekiva.
As they go with the sweep, and they'll pick up their first down.
Number 9 on the carry around the corner, and he has a Yellow Jacket first down. That takes the ball up to the 48-yard line of Yellow Jacket territory, 1st and 10.
So a 6-yard gain. As Mark said, 1st and 10. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Can't ask for a better day in terms of weather aside from the temperature. It is in the 80s, as you expect, May 22nd, as their running back unable to bounce off the first would-be tackler, but unable to negotiate the second wave. Short gain, a yard.
Pickup of 1 on the play by the Yellow Jackets. 2nd and 9 coming up from their own 49-yard line. 48 seconds to go here in the first quarter. And again, you might as well call that the first half. I'm not sure with Jamboree rules. I believe that they will probably switch sides as if it were halftime between quarters, since we're only playing 2 quarters. We'll see if that's actually turns out to be true. Snap is...
Yeah, the swing past the screen. Everybody, student body left after that pass, and another small gain. As a matter of fact, I don't believe he gained anything. And it's going to be no gain there as our ref.
No gain on the play. Now 3rd and 9 coming up for the Yellowjackets.
From the Leesburg 49.
So again, I'm not certain whether we'll just switch sides like it's the usual end of the first quarter, or if we'll actually have another kickoff as if it were halftime. But we're about to find out, as that takes us to the end of the first quarter. We remain scoreless at the end of 12 minutes here in round 1 of the preseason classic. So, hello. So again, the Mustangs looking for redemption here, trying to iron out the kinks going in to the 20th anniversary season of Mustang athletics, and boy, there are certainly some kinks to work out. A lot of room to build off of the 2025 season, and certainly we've seen that the offensive line has some consistency problems here in the first 12 minutes of this spring classic. However, Leesburg also shaking some rust off as well. Their offense has not been able to take advantage so far of any of the falters from Wekiva. So again, this is the spring classic. Nobody expects it to be postseason form. Other thing that feels a little bit odd about this is, boy, is it awfully bright out here for an evening football game. First of all, we started an hour earlier because of the fact that we're doing 6 quarters instead of the usual 4. And second of all, the regular season football typically happens between late August and early December. We're in late May now, so daylight lasts quite a bit longer than it would during most of the regular football season.
Yeah, and a penalty that's going to go against Leesburg.
Flag on the play called against Leesburg.
As their quarterback tried to buy some extra time with the rollout. He looked good. This is the second possession for Leesburg. They started the game with the possession. Wekiva has only had 1 possession. They actually gained 2 first downs consecutively as well on that first possession. Leesburg just picked up their first down. Of course, now they're going to have to dig out of the hole. To use your vernacular, Mark, contributing 5 yards to the Wekiva cause.
10. That was a 10-yard penalty. So, yeah, it'll be 3rd and 20 here. So,
and this definitely looks like a spring jamboree, as we've already had 6 penalties now in a little over a quarter.
Yeah, I'll be talking with Coach Biaggi during the offseason, but Neil, you know this very well because you've been here for all of it. So have I. Both Neil and I are honorary inaugural team members. Neither one of us part of the regular faculty of Wekiva, but we have been here and been a part of Wekiva athletics since day one. And that was now almost 20 years ago. 2007, the school opened, August 2007. So when we hit the end of next season, we will have completed our 20th year. So next year is our 20th anniversary season here at Wekiva. As we get a gain of just a couple on that play, we'll bring up 4th and long, and the Yellowjackets will punt the ball away.
Yeah, Mark, just wanted to point out, since we're talking about 20 years, of course, I worked for the Apopka Chief for 18 of those years, and I still remember, don't remember the exact date, but I remember it was around August 10th. I was standing on the bus loop with my camera covering and taking pictures for several stories I wrote that first week regarding the first week and Wekiva opening up. And, I know, of course, you've aged as well. You now have a son. In my case, I was in my 30s. I was still a fairly young man, and next week I will be turning 57, almost 60.
Yeah, I mean, my involvement in this was almost by happenstance. Ty Parker was the first head coach of Wekiva football. I struck up a conversation with him as my wife's date to the inaugural faculty picnic that they had at Wekiva Springs State Park. And so my wife is on the inaugural team as a music teacher. She's the choir director here at Wekiva. And, oops, if I can find the ball. Oh, no, intercepted. That's a pick six for number 9 of the Leesburg defense, and so that will put the Yellowjackets on the board. (6-0) with 10 minutes, 16 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
So, Mark, as Leesburg takes over Wekiva will take over trailing 6-0. We're going to get the PAT here, so it'll be at least 6-0. But to piggyback on what we were talking about, another way you can look at it, 20 years now since Wekiva's grand opening. As here's the snap, ball down, and the kick's up, and score it, 7-0. Leesburg. 10-16.
PAT is good. 7-0 the score with 10 minutes, 16 seconds remaining in the second quarter. And yeah, Neil, as you started to allude to a moment ago, the very first year, as is standard for Orange County Public Schools, all brand new high schools open without seniors. And so that's been the case for Horizon, who opened a few years ago. They came after us. I'm trying to think. Lake Buena Vista High School, Innovation High School have all opened after Wekiva.
Lake Nona.
So yeah, all those
schools.
Yep, all those schools opened in the years since, and as is tradition, they open without seniors because they will not force seniors to move or rezone in their final year. They'll let them finish where they started, which helps out for the school as well because graduation logistics are complicated, and it's just nice to not have to deal with that for your first year. So even though Wekiva opened up in 2007, there was no class of 2008. Class of 2009 was the first graduating class at Wekiva, and that creates some real challenges for your athletic program when you only have freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and they've all been cleaved from other school district or other school zones, and trying to come together and form a cohesive team. And it is, frankly, it's not unheard of. I think about Mark Grizik at Windermere defying this particular trope, but
basketball.
Yeah, in basketball, it's pretty uncommon. Nobody expects much out of you for your first couple of years in business, just because it's a tall order, and no matter how talented your players are, no matter how talented your coaches are. It's just a tall order to put together a varsity level program.
Yeah, you're starting from the point, from the disadvantage. Again, like you said, even if you have very talented players, of course nowadays, if you can find a speedster, someone who could do like a 4.340.
Dominique Walker makes the catch and takes the ball out to the 37-yard line. That's good for a Mustang first down.
You're still having to deal with the fact that your opponent is averaging to a man at least 6 inches taller and at least 50 pounds heavier in its muscle, not fat. And of course, during our first couple of years, Mark, we saw that. We had some pretty talented guys.
Landon Jerome on the carry for the Mustangs. Pick up a 4. That takes the ball out to the 40-yard line and makes it second and a long 6.
I still remember we had some pretty good running backs there. Our primary running backs, our first 3 or 4. I remember James Owen, Clarence Randall. I can't remember the third guy, but those first 3 or 4, they were very talented running backs, very strong, but they just could not consistently gain more than a couple yards because the offensive line was
Dead ball,
small.
offsides is called against the Leesburg Yellowjackets. 5-yard donation to the Mustang cause and a replay of second down. Now it'll be 2nd and 3 for the Mustangs from their own 46.
And again, the offensive line, it wasn't that they were doing anything wrong. They were very, I wouldn't say maybe above average, but they were solid in their blocking techniques. But again, they were just always giving up at least 6 inches and 50 pounds and constantly getting pushed back for those first couple of years.
Let's see, I believe that was the same running back. That is Landon Jerome again, this time across midfield to the 44-yard line, and another Mustang first down. So yeah, Neil, you and I have seen lean times, we have seen famine, we have seen times of plenty. We have seen the seasons where Wekiva had 6 graduates go into D1 in the same year. That was the year that Wekiva made states for the only time in history.
Yeah, the semifinals.
And so we have been here through good times and bad, and that is Jerome again on the carry. This time a pickup of 1 to take the ball to the 43-yard line, 2nd and 9. So, of course, we always hope, we know it's unrealistic that you're going to bring home a state championship every year for 20 years in every sport. We know that that's just not the way that life works. But,
sports in general.
but at the same time, we go into every season hoping that we're going to see, great competitive games, that we're going to see Wekiva's players represent the school well. If we can get some playoffs in at least a couple of team sports every year, we like to see that. We love the excitement of that. We love the community that it builds when you watch the teams move through the postseason and try to make a name for themselves in the state record books.
Another penalty now, I believe the 9th combined.
As we get a dead ball foul. This time it is a false start called against the Mustangs. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of second down. I'll say in particular among spring sports, our track and field team was notable this year. They had a number of athletes go into the regional level of competition and state level. I do not have their names in front of me, but I do want to congratulate them as they really did carry the torch for spring sports this year. But as you mentioned, under Coach Watts, we are looking to see if Wekiva can return to the good times of plenty that we know they are capable of, as we get a pass complete to number 2. That is Bakari Manley on the reception. It's a pickup of 4 yards and brings up 3rd and 3 for the Mustangs.
3rd and short. They converted one of those on their previous possession. And now back. Nice quick pass there. 2-step drop, 3-step drop. Put it right in the old bread basket on the numbers.
Pass is complete for the Mustangs. Receiver was number 12, Robert Hollis. And that is just enough for a Mustang first down. And we have now reached 6 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the second quarter. That means it's time for our official timeout in the water break as we get ready to wrap up the first segment of our preseason classic.
So Leesburg with the 7-0 lead, as Mark said, 6:12 remaining in the first quarter. Next quarter, if you prefer the word half, Horizon will take to the field. They'll face Leesburg. And that 7-0 lead came on a pick 6 on the previous possession. And I think it's safe to say from both these teams, we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, as you would expect in a preseason contest, whether it be the Jamboree or the regular Classic. So again, just give you a quick reminder, we were talking about the first couple of years there and what we've seen. Just basically, because this will be our 20th season, and just doing a little reminiscing. And Mark, to your point, talked about the good times making it to the state Final Four. That was actually in 2018, made it to the Sweet 16. That's the round before what's considered the state finals. That's your last four. If you prefer the Final Four, nothing doing there on that run. Leesburg defense bottling up the offensive line immediately from the snap.
Landon Jerome on the Mustangs carry, and that will be -3 on the play. 2nd and 13 coming up for Wekiva from the Yellowjacket 34-yard line. So despite the fact that that was a lackluster start to this down series, Mustangs still in decent scoring position. And again, this is a Jamboree, so just in case anyone's curious, if this ends up in a tie, we ain't playing overtime. It's just going to be 7-7.
Yeah, it does not count. As you like to say, Mark, it's like, whose line is it anyway? No one really cares about the points.
I mean, it's bragging rights, I guess.
Yeah, it's bragging rights. Well, I suppose it's
nice draw.
There's more intensity in terms of the bragging right if you're playing someone within your county. Of course, Leesburg out in Polk County, about an hour drive.
Pass is complete to Robert Hollis. That'll pick up 2 of the lost 3 yards, but it brings up 3rd and 11 for the Mustangs.
In terms of plays, this is not only Wekiva's longest of the half, but the longest between either of the two teams.
Yeah, and that's another thing that this is typical of exhibition games, whether you're talking about the Spring Classic or Jamboree, the Fall Classic or Jamboree. You see the same thing when you do like the Pro Bowls and All-Star games and whatnot like that. You're going to see relatively simpler, more straightforward play selection. You're going to see,
and that also means shorter distances.
Yeah,
we haven't seen anything over more than about 8 yards, actually.
Correct. The play selection is probably going to favor rushing maybe a little bit more than it otherwise would. If it is a pass selection, they're going to be shorter passes, and the result of that is, besides the fact that we're playing only 2 quarters per combination here, the result of that is that it's not a running clock, but it's going to feel more like a running clock because the clock is not stopping as much as you would see.
Yeah, the clock moves
particularly
quicker.
in an end game scenario. In an end game scenario, those last 2 minutes of a ball game can feel interminable. That's not going to be the case here. Now, as soon as I say that, Wekiva does let out a little bit longer pass, but it does. Let's see, what's the signal? Leesburg was signaling incomplete, but they would not be reliable arbiters. That pass is ruled a catch, and that was completed to the Mustangs' number 1, Dominique Walker. That puts the ball at the 25-yard line. However, that is not sufficient for a first down. So that turns the ball over on downs to the Yellowjackets. 1st and 10, Leesburg. So all for naught there. It was a good-looking pass. It was a good-looking scoop by Walker. Did everything right there except judge the distance. If it hadn't been for that -3 that Wekiva had gotten on the opening play of the down series, that might have been enough. But alas, here just under 4 minutes to play. Leesburg with a 7-0 lead takes over.
Out of the one-back set, we haven't seen any other set yet. And there was motion, and now the pocket collapses. Nowhere to go.
That was DeAndre Payne picks up a sack for the Mustangs, and that will pull the ball back behind the 20 to the 17-yard line and bring up 2nd and 17. For what it's worth, this is no slight against Leesburg. I simply don't have their roster, so that's why I have not named any of their receivers or running backs or quarterbacks. This is, again, no insult to anyone. It's the Spring Classic. it's the last thing on coaches' minds is to get a roster together for an unofficial scrimmage game, so I completely understand. But it's not that I am trying to insult them on purpose. I simply do not have their roster available to me.
And he'll pick up 5 on that swing, that student body right sweep. As we now go under 2 minutes, 45 seconds, Leesburg with the 7-0 lead. Took that lead on.
Gain of 11 on the carry. Will take the ball up to the 29-yard line and bring up 3rd and a long 6 for the Yellowjackets.
Leesburg taking that lead on a pick 6, about a 30-yard return. Wekiva in the 4-3. And a little shift, a little juke, and we're going to have a 14-0 lead now. Well, maybe not, but certainly going to take some time off the clock. Big play there, biggest of the game, no doubt, about 60-plus yards. And number 1 saved the touchdown for Wekiva. Give him credit for tracking down the running back.
Dominique Walker, normally a wide receiver, getting in on the action to save the touchdown. Jensen Simon was right down there too. But nevertheless, spin move gets the Yellowjackets out ahead of the Mustangs and puts them inside the red zone for a long first down, and will pause for a timeout.
2:03 remaining in this first quarter. So your next half, it'll be Horizon taking on Leesburg. The teams trade off. This is a Jamboree, which means there's 3 teams playing. Each plays a half twice. And then Wekiva will take on Horizon in the nightcap. So again, to your point, we were talking about next season being the 20th. I do work as a substitute teacher as well. And when I first started substituting, which was, I believe, the 3rd year that Wekiva was in existence, you had to fill out the roster, the attendance, by hand. They gave you, the administration gave you a sheet and you filled out the lines. Now a lot of the schools in Orange County and even Seminole, they do everything digitally to give you an idea of what it was like compared to nowadays. And after
all the ticketing is digital now. That was not the case when we started. Even like keeping stats. I know you're an old school guy. You like to keep paper stats, but most of the coaches anymore, they all are doing it with iPads and digital analytics.
I actually use both of them. When I'm doing my broadcasts, I do, for the sake of our broadcasts, I do old school. I write it down just because it's quicker for me to do that. It's
Mustangs request a timeout.
Like you were pointing out, Mark, I actually do prefer doing it digitally. I just don't have the time to enter it between plays. So 1:51 remaining.
So as we get back to live action here, Leesburg still with the ball. Wekiva trying to slow the clock down, and I just got finished saying that, you may not see that tonight because the outcome of the game doesn't really count. But you know what, though? There are coaches out there, and Coach Watts seems to be among them, as Wekiva spends their final timeout. That is, playing this like it's a playoff game. And so Wekiva spends back-to-back-to-back timeouts to try to lengthen the game as much as they can, give themselves a chance to get back on offense. And I respect that, even though this is a game that the outcome doesn't matter, you want your offense to get one more shot out there against this team. They clearly could use the practice and the reps.
Yeah,
whether or not it makes a difference to the outcome, You don't want the clock to just run out.
Yeah, and my father, perhaps the greatest lesson he gave me about life was, and he said it very cliche, but there is no substitute for experience. Of course, in sports, we use the word repetition instead of experience. And you can only do so much in practice. Yes, you can simulate conditions, but it's still not the same as when you're in an actual live game going against a live opponent, and an opponent that you're not facing 5 days a week for several weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, there's
AKA your the other side of the ball, your own teammate.
Yeah, and I work full time at Disney, and there's a performing group there called the Voice of Liberty, and one of the things they're fond of saying is that people say practice makes perfect, and that's wrong. Perfect practice makes perfect. Whenever you are out there, whatever you're practicing, even you treat every situation as if it's the big one, as if it matters, and that develops a championship mentality. And so I completely respect Coach Watts, even though it makes the game a little bit longer here, and it pays dividends here. The carry is short of the goal line, and that will turn the ball, is short of the goal line, but past the first down marker. And so it'll bring up first and goal for Leesburg.
I will say this, at least if you're going to extend the game for a practice, a scrimmage, at least this is the right night to do it in terms of the weather.
Oh, yeah. It looked like it was going to storm earlier, but it turned out to be a beautiful afternoon here in South Apopka.
Yeah, one of the great things about this weather, not so great for me because it blows my papers around everywhere, but there's a breeze coming in, so that at least keeps it cool, some ventilation. For those of you who are not familiar with the setup of the facility here, the
QB
football
keeper up the middle, and that is still short of the goal line, and second and goal from about the 5 coming up for the Yellowjackets.
The football stadium, it does get, it's just set up in a way that we don't get a lot of airflow, so it does get stuffy, lack of circulation here in the press box, even with the window open, but that's not the case tonight with this breeze coming in.
So the Yellowjackets now looking at second and goal.
And also, as you mentioned, Mark, it is going to stay lighter longer here in late May.
Flag on the play. Dead ball prior to the snap. False start. Called against the Yellowjacket offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay. First down.
58 seconds remaining. And the penalties continue. I believe that's 10 now combined.
So now this will bring up first and goal from, looks about the 7. Under a minute to play. The other thing that does, which I guess is good news if you're Wekiva, is it stops the clock. Wekiva's burned all of their timeouts at this point, so they cannot stop the clock.
Now that one back set, one tight end. And again, as we've alluded to, nothing fancy, sticking close to the bench.
Handoff to number 23 on the carry. That pulls the ball to about 3 yards short of the goal line. And now Leesburg will spend a timeout.
Sticking close to the vest in terms of the play calling between the tackles, as you heard Mark say. 4-yard pickup, 21 seconds remaining. And you go back, I believe it was 7 plays ago, that play that the running back busted from Leesburg 30, took it all the way down to about the Wekiva 20, and that pretty much chewed up, gave Leesburg the opportunity to chew up most of the time remaining. There was about 3 minutes remaining. Also put him in a situation where they could open up the playbook being at the Wekiva 20. And again, to what you were talking about, Coach Watts, although this is Coach Lang, you also want to work on the situation of being able to close out a victory, being able to secure it. And that's what Coach Lang has done here at Leesburg.
Yeah, so like I said, both of these coaches taking advantage of the opportunity to, treat this like you're playing a one-touchdown game in an end game situation. I think if this were a real game, you probably don't call that timeout because it doesn't really matter if you win by 7 or 14. But in this case, Coach Lang wants to get 7 more points on the board, and there he goes. Yellowjackets into the end zone for a touchdown.
So that'll leave 17 seconds left and a 13-0 lead for Leesburg.
13-0 your score with 17 seconds left in this portion of the event. Again, in a spring jamboree format, there is no defense on kicking plays, so this will be an unopposed PAT attempt for number 41.
And also, I want to point out, you had mentioned this earlier, as the PAT is good, makes the lead 14.
Kick is up and good, 14-0 your score with 17 seconds remaining in this portion of our 6-quarter event.
Coach Lang was the second coach, chronologically speaking, here at Wekiva. He coached for 3 years. 2000, I remember it was our sixth, 7th, and 8th season. As you mentioned, Ty Parker, the first coach. I know he left after the 5th season. Then Lang took over for 3, so that would be 2007. The school opened, so I believe that would be 2013, 14, and 15. And Coach Lang actually did coach the team to its first ever playoff berth. If memory serves me correct, it was his 3rd season. The team went 8-2. They started 2-2, but rambled off 6 straight victories to finish the season. Unfortunately, they lost to Oakleaf in the first round of the playoffs, and we might actually have a score here. And nope, not quite able to get down there, but I guess if you're going to finish off your first half, that's the way you want to do it, at least having some explosiveness and a play that makes you feel good heading into the second half that Wekiva will play against Horizon.
Bakari Manley getting his steps in on the final play of this portion of the game. There is a flag on the play right around midfield, although it's looks like it may be waved off, but it is an illegal block in the back called against Wekiva. That explains how Manley was able to get away as quickly as he did, but nevertheless, that would have been from the 25-yard line, that would have been about 65-yard play. Now, ordinarily, the game cannot end on a defensive penalty. However, excuse me, that was an offensive penalty. So, yeah, in case of an offensive penalty, that should do it here. Yes, it does. That takes us to the end of this matchup. 14-0 is the final score of Wekiva versus Leesburg. The Yellowjackets taking it away with 2 touchdowns. Don't go anywhere. We're going to switch out for Horizon here after a quick warm-up, and then we will continue with the second of 3 parts in our 2026 Mustang Spring Jamboree right here from Mustang Field. For those of you watching online, we are going to keep this broadcast rolling. We're not going to try to split the broadcast into 3 pieces and make you jump around to different broadcasts. So just keep it tuned right where you are. We're going to take a little break here in the press box. I do need to mute the audio so that YouTube does not smite us for copyright violations. So please forgive the fact that it's going to get a little quiet. We'll just leave the camera on so you can watch the warm-up, and we'll be back in a few minutes for 24 minutes of football action. Leesburg versus Horizon coming up next. Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mustang Field for part 2 of 3 in our 2026 Spring Jamboree. Please welcome our guests in this round from Horizon High School. They are the Hawks. And from Leesburg High School, once again, the Yellowjackets. Now let's see, if I recall correctly, I know Wekiva's home, so Wekiva's always going to be home. But if we're doing this the traditional way, the dark-colored jerseys in football represent the home team, and the light-colored jerseys represent the visiting team. So we'll call Horizon guest in this game, and we will call Leesburg home. Make sure I have that right on the scoreboard graphic.
So Leesburg will be looking to win 2 halves in a row. Again, Mark, as you mentioned, it's like whose line is it anyway? The points don't really matter, but nonetheless, if you can win a couple of these halves, you do get on that bus feeling a lot better than you did walking off. Horizon, on the other hand, as we mentioned, one of the newer schools. The second newest school, Innovation the newest, they opened up 2 years ago. Horizon along with Lake Buena Vista opening up in, I believe it was 2021. And their second year, they shocked the world. I believe they went 8-2. They had a 2-year run where they won, I believe, eight games in a row. I don't remember if they made the playoffs or not, to be honest. They did play a very light schedule in terms of the opponent's credentials, but nonetheless, as we were talking about in that first year, we were reminiscing back to Wekiva's first year because this will be their 20th season. You're not expected to do much in your first year or two, and Horizon certainly, regardless of the quality of the competition, by a long margin, winning 8 games. Did a lot more than what was expected of them. Now, I don't remember the running back's name, but I do remember it started with a K, his first name, and that he was their meal ticket. He touched the ball in about 90% of the plays, gained about 5.5 yards per carry. He was an excellent Roger Craig, for our older audience, type receiver out of the backfield.
Pickup of 3 on the opening play of the drive for the Yellowjackets. 2nd and 7 coming up for Leesburg.
Since then, of course, he graduated 2 seasons ago, and since then, Horizon looking more like you would expect a team in its first 5 years to look in a dry spell under 500. So there's a quick background for Horizon. Of course, they are the Hawks, and they are located in the north central side of Orange County. Way up there, not too far, only about a mile or so from the Osceola border.
No gain on the play. Ryan Rule makes the stop for the Hawks. 3rd and long coming up for Leesburg.
Wekiva did play Horizon during those 2 years a couple of times. Not each year, but once each year, twice. Over a 2-year period. They were in the same district, that's why they played them. Wekiva winning the first matchup, Horizon winning the second matchup.
Pickup of 2 there. 4th and 6 coming up now for Leesburg, and they will elect to punt Once again, if you're just joining us, you didn't hear us mention this in the first segment of the game. The Spring Jamboree is played without defense on kicking plays. So it's not that the Hawks don't care, it's that they're not allowed. And that ball will bounce dead at the 40-yard line. So Horizon will take over from there with their first offensive possession of the game. 1st and 10.
And so Wekiva and Horizon continued their annual rivalry since they're no longer in the same division. Again, splitting the last 2 seasons. Wekiva winning in 2024. Horizon winning last year in 2025 on there. Both teams winning at home. So they've actually played 4 years in a row now, or I believe 4 out of the last 5, as we got our quarterback, number 7, motoring down that right sideline. Great blocking from the offensive line, and it'll put Horizon in Leesburg territory.
Hunter Sampson with a big play to open up the drive for Horizon. That takes the ball all the way down into Yellowjacket territory at the 38-yard line, 1st and 10.
Horizon working with the 5 receiver set, 1 in motion, that's number 2, right to left. The throw from Sampson completes it to the receiver in motion, number 2, and it'll be a first down for Horizon. Actually, it's going to be about a yard short.
Pass complete to Sean Guzman Jr., but there is a penalty marker on the play. Holding called against the Hawks offense. It's a 10-yard penalty and a replay of first down. So that completion will come back.
That's really a shame for Sampson. That was a good-looking toss from Sampson. Online, nice tight spiral, good distance, good touch. Instead, though, as you mentioned, Mark, it will now be 2nd and 20, right at midfield. Continuing to run out of that one-back set. They'll gain most of that yardage back, and then some, actually, all the way up to the 35-yard line. So that'll bring up 2nd and mid-range as we drop under 10 minutes.
Pickup of 12 on the carry up the middle will bring up 2nd and 8 for the Hawks. And yeah, Neil, just we get a second here. I'll put up the graphic of the OCPS history, but Horizon, as you mentioned, is a relatively new school.
They're going to take the lead as well. Sampson finding a hole on that left side and weaving and getting daylight down that left sideline. 6-0. Horizon, 8:36. First quarter.
Hunter Sampson takes it all the way to the house, and that is a 30-something yard touchdown run. Horizon on the board, 7-0, with 8 minutes, 36 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
So Horizon takes possession on the first possession. First team to touch the ball, 7 yards.
Leesburg
It was their first possession.
Yeah, Leesburg had the very first. They were 3 and out.
6 plays following the 3 and out. And score the PAT, 7-0. Sampson, as you heard Mark
PAT
say,
is good for number 26. That's Dominic Alomia. And that makes it a 7-0 lead for the Hawks. Just about 3.5 minutes into the first quarter here in the second segment of our 2026 Mustang Spring Jamboree. For those of you here in the stadium, we want to remind you, if you're just joining us, you didn't hear us mention it earlier, we are live streaming the whole event tonight. Even though Wekiva is not playing in this segment, we're still carrying it on our channel. And we are simulcasting in 2 places. We're on NFHSnetwork.com. That's the official online home of the Florida High School Athletic Association. That one does require a membership, but if you're not a member there, that's okay. We'd still be glad to see you on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is absolutely free. The channel name is called Wekiva Sports, and you can find that on the YouTube app with your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device. Again, youtube.com/Wekiva Sports, or just search Wekiva Sports on the YouTube app. And we would love to have your friends and family from Winter Garden or Leesburg join us live for tonight's game.
So Leesburg looking at 2nd and 12. And other than one play, of course, they played Wekiva in the first half. First half of what will be 3, as there's an errant toss. Number 22 doing a good job of retrieving that ball, not turning it over. But other than one play, it went for about 65 yards in the closing minutes of that first half, which put him in a position to really secure the victory. Leesburg has not shown much on offense, as you mentioned, Mark, in these spring games, whether it's a Classic or Jamboree. Teams like to keep it close to the vest, but even so, Leesburg has not really been able to manufacture much in terms of the fundamentals, being able to create any openings for their running back. And there's a INT, a pick. Solid return as well, about 8 yards. And Horizon back in business. They'll be around the 20-yard line. Actually, they're going to be just inside at the 19-yard line. 7:47 remaining in the first quarter, already holding the 7-0 lead. So Sampson will line his team up. They'll continue to run out of that one-back set. This time they line that running back up to the right. Actually, excuse me, it's a two-back set. And they hand off to the deeper of the 2 running backs. And he'll continue to push that ball downfield. Actually, a nice gain on first down, 8 yards to be exact. A deceptive gain there. And we have an injured Leesburg player down. Can't see who the player is. 7:34 remaining. Horizon looking to up the lead to 2 touchdowns.
No, 62F7. That's the real one.
So that was number 34 for Leesburg. Again, we do not have a roster, so we can't give you a name. If you are a Leesburg follower, perhaps you know who number 34 is. And in the meantime, with 7:34 remaining, Horizon already with the 7-0 lead set up by a pick and a solid return of about 8 yards, looking to up that lead to 14-0. They are now at the Leesburg 9 on 2nd and 8. Quick pass out by Simpsons, and he had his man. Number 9 dropped that ball. Wouldn't have gotten a touchdown, but certainly would have gotten him inside the 5-yard line. And another Leesburg player injured right at the goal line.
Yeah, slow to get up there. As we're paused here for the timeout, something I was going to bring up earlier. This is an older graphic, so I apologize that this is not going to be quite current. But this is kind of the history of OCPS. Let me make the scorebook go away briefly so we can see it here. So this is
schools.
This is missing. I got to find the newer version of this I made. This is missing Innovation, which opened 2 years ago in 2024. But you can see here that Horizon was 2021. This was when they opened. We made this graphic for them. Yeah, we made this graphic for them 5 years ago.
They're on the very inside there. They're the Hawks.
Yeah, they opened the same year as Lake Buena Vista Vipers. So that's about 14-year difference between when Wekiva opened in 2007, and then you had East River in 2009, Lake Nona also in 2009, Windermere in 2017, and then Horizon and Lake Buena Vista together in 2021, and then, as we just mentioned, Innovation opened in 24. But here you can kind of see that, yeah, I know, Neil, I don't know about for you, but for me, it always feels like Wekiva's still a new kid on the block. Like I forget that we're not a new school anymore.
No, I agree with you, Mark. It does still feel like it's we're still in our formative years. So 7-21, 7-0 lead for the Horizon Hawks, who again, the second to newest school in Orange County, opening 5 years ago now, along with Lake Buena Vista. And they are looking to get that lead to 14-0 following the interception and an 8-yard return. Leesburg struggling. Mentioned they haven't really shown much on offense. They had one really big play against Wekiva in the first half with about 3 minutes remaining. A roughly 60-yard gain. Handoff up the middle, weaving a little juke, a little jive. It'll be a short gain, but continues to push the Leesburg defense back. Ball now down to the 5-yard line, and it'll actually be 4th and 3. And so Horizon's going to go for it, but why not? Nothing to lose in this particular game. And a whistle. And now we're going to get back underway on 4th and 3. Actually, it was a first down. So it's 1st and goal from about the 2-yard line. The handoff, nothing fancy, straight up the middle. 2nd, 3rd, 4th effort. And the Leesburg defense rising up, at least for the time being. Keeping Horizon off the board. Casper looking over to his coaching staff for the call, the play calls. We dropped to 6 minutes. Snap again. Casper takes it himself this time on the quarterback option. And plows in. Nothing fancy there. Lowered the shoulder, a slight bit of a juke to his left.
Samson into the end zone for the Horizon touchdown.
And excuse me, I was saying Casper. It's Hunter Sampson is the quarterback's name. And he makes that lead 13-0. We'll have the PAT coming up here.
So once again, no defense on kicking plays. So again, not that Leesburg is unconcerned. It's just that that is the rule for the Spring Jamboree. Eli Rubio for the PAT.
Snap, ball down, and kick up. And
kick is up and good. So the Hawks extend their lead to 14-0 with 5 minutes 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
So that drive began at the 28-yard line of Leesburg, took 4 or 5 plays, and so far Leesburg has certainly looked like a team poised to start the season with a win. Still a long way to go, obviously, and of course you have the layoff. This concludes the spring practice. You don't start practicing again in terms of getting on the field until late July. But certainly a team that looks like they can, Horizon that is, that if they were to play right now, they at least would be competitive. Certainly looking a lot better than Horizon and Wekiva in terms of the quality and the consistency.
Yeah, for sure, Neil. Yeah, the Horizon looks like, maybe not in playoff form, but you're not supposed to be at this point. But yeah, certainly they look like if this were not the Spring Classic, if this were actually the Fall Classic, and they were going to play for real next week for keeps, for pink slips, as it were, I think they'd be ready. Like they seem like a team that's gelled. The plays are well designed. They're being executed cleanly. You don't see a lot of those, early jitters where, everybody's zigging when they should have zagged.
Another way you can put it, and this is as old as the game itself, I believe we had 11 penalties in the first half between Leesburg and Wekiva. Horizon has yet to commit a penalty.
Yeah, that's another sign of a team that is mentally focused and has their act together. So now, let's see, is this the water break? Horizon requests their first timeout. So they'll take a pause for the old cause there. And now 1st and 10 coming up for Leesburg from their own 25-yard line. Now let's see if I can get instant replay to work here. Well, that wasn't it. There it goes.
And want to point out, Mark, of course, we were talking about Horizon looking good, but not just on offense. I know we tend to think of offense first, but the defense, there's another example holding Leesburg to a 2-yard gain, 2nd and 8, and this play is not going to count. There was a flag. Referee on the right side, the side in front of the Horizon bench, throwing his flag as the play was snapped. It's usually having to do with the team not setting properly. And yes, it is against Leesburg, offsides.
Offsides called against the Leesburg offense, 5-yard penalty. And from the previous spot, a replay.
And
a second down.
Just mentioned talking about penalties and the disparity in all three teams. And Leesburg commits another penalty. And again, they're self-damaging penalties. That's not anything Horizon did when you're called for offsides. So Leesburg will go back to work. One back set, no lead blocker. And they hand it off to their running back. And he will not make it back to the line of scrimmage. And we'll be looking at 3rd and long.
Handoff is made to number 23, and that'll be a loss on the, at least not back to the original line of scrimmage on the play. That brings up 3rd and 12 for the Yellowjackets.
4:10, clock continues to tick in this first quarter. This is the second half. This is the Jamboree, which means there are 3 teams involved. Sometimes 4, but in this case 3. And each team plays a half. So this is the second half, as now Horizon comes up to that line of scrimmage. And Leesburg goes to the air. Oh, had his man wide open, had a step on the DB, but the pressure caused the pass to be overthrown. So credit that incomplete pass to the defensive line and getting pressure on the Leesburg quarterback. And that'll bring up 4th down and another punt. Horizon already with the 14-0 lead. They're 2 for 2 in terms of touchdowns and possessions. So if you joined us late in these scrimmages, or if you prefer exhibitions, the term exhibition, the defense is not allowed to really play. As you can see, the defense is out there, but they're just standing there. That is the FHSAA rule, not an Orange County rule. It's an FHSAA rule. And so Leesburg will take over again, take possession again. And they will take over at their own 40-yard line with that 14-0 lead. 3:31 remaining in the first quarter.
Snap away, and going long this time, and almost intercepted. A little tussle there in the secondary. Pass intended for Dane St. Clair falls incomplete. That'll bring up 2nd and 10 for the Hawks from their own 40-yard line.
Horizon with that 14-0 lead, opening up the offense, at least in terms of the length of the pass. Now they'll go back to the ground attack, and another solid gain there. Want to make it a manageable 3rd down in terms of the distance. About a 4-yard gain. That'll bring up 3rd and 6. Horizon scoring on their first 2 possessions and scoring touchdowns. So far, we mentioned looking like a team that would be very competitive if they were to be playing a regular season game. But they're also very effective. Can't get more effective than 2 touchdowns, 2 possessions. 1 back set, 4 receivers, 1 in motion. And they're going to go to their wide out, number 3. And he's going to pick up the first down.
Christian Manazanet on the play. And that will take the ball across midfield to the 48-yard line, bring up 1st and 10. I heard a few in the crowd that were looking for a late hit call on that. I think it was borderline. I think reasonable people could disagree over that. It was legitimate play on the ball while it reasonably could have been live. It's hard to see over the the players who are standing on the sideline here to know exactly how close to out of bounds he was.
So Horizon now at their own 47, got some more breathing room. Is Sampson, and he'll take it, and he's not going to be able to turn the corner. That's going to be a big loss, about 7 yards.
Sampson is taken down behind the line of scrimmage by the Yellowjackets. That will pull the ball back. 42.5-yard line and brings up 2nd and long.
So not quite as big a loss as I originally thought of 7 yards, but still 5-yard loss on first down. That can definitely take the wind out of an offensive sails. Horizon back to work, and they're going to make up that and then some. Just straight ahead, an opening that was number 16. Straight ahead, bulldogging into that
Connor
secondary.
Mellon makes the play for the Hawks. That will make up the original lost yardage and get the ball all the way down to the 40-yard line and brings up 3rd and a long 2.
So 1:15 remaining, first quarter. Already a 14-0 lead for Horizon, looking to add. Sampson lines his team up. They remain in that same formation. They're going with trips on the right side and single up high.
Hawks request their 2nd timeout. Timeout taken by Horizon.
And as you just heard Mark say, as in Mark Barchi, our public address announcer, as well as the other voice you're hearing over the air, Horizon does request and is granted a timeout. So already that 14-0 lead. Want to make sure you're on the same page. I don't want to make the big play, which is going to give Leesburg new life. Leesburg winning the opening half of this Jamboree against Wekiva, 14-0 victory. And Horizon and Wekiva will play in the 3rd and final half.
Once again, we invite you, if you have not already done so, to make sure your friends and family back in Winter Garden, back in Leesburg, or anywhere in the world know that we are live streaming tonight's game. We are on 2 places. We're on NFHSnetwork.com, and we are also simulcasting on YouTube. So even if you're not a member of NFHS, don't worry about it. You can watch absolutely free, youtube.com, and the channel name is Wekiva Sports. And we want to thank those of you who are doing just that and who have been doing this with us for, oh gosh, Neil, how long have we been live streaming? About probably 8 years now?
Actually, I believe this is our 13th.
13th? Okay, you're being generous. You're counting some of those pseudo live streams that we did in the very early days.
Yeah,
we even did some audio only live streams for a while there.
Yeah, I'm counting from our very first one. Of course, in those early years, the first 2-3 years, we did select games. We did not do a full home schedule.
And yeah, like I said, there were times that Bright House Sports Network had exclusive rights. We couldn't do a video broadcast, so we were doing some audio broadcasts. We're doing some stuff on the old high school GameCube, if you remember that, before they got bought by NFHS Network.
Just for clarification for our younger audience, Bright House Sports is now Spectrum.
Correct. So yes, at the time, before it was sold to Charter Communications, we had Bright House Sports Network, which had an exclusive contract on Orange County games. Although they only had 2 trucks, so even though they had exclusivity, they weren't actually here very often. And so we worked out an arrangement with them that, you know, as long as we were not competing with them and they weren't going to cover our game anyway, that we could cover it ourselves. I think we've been live streaming longer than any school in Orange County, certainly. Pretty much going back to the beginning of when it was a thing that you could do without having a production truck, which we obviously don't have. Nowadays, we've been very fortunate to have, between Orange Technical College and between some grants that we've gotten, we've been able to purchase some stuff that's better than what you have at home, but maybe not what, you know, ESPN and NBC have. Kick is away on 4th down with the punt. Again, no defense on punts, so that will be taken from the 30-yard line. That also takes us to the end of the first quarter. And that will mean it's a 14-0 ball game as we hit the midpoint of our second segment. Second of 3 here. Earlier we saw Leesburg play Wekiva. Now you're watching Leesburg play Horizon. And in just a few minutes, after the conclusion of this quarter, we'll switch up the opponents one more time, and you'll see Horizon versus Wekiva. Again, this is the difference between a spring classic and a spring jamboree. A classic would be 4 quarters in a traditional game where you just have 2 schools competing with the same timing rules that you'd have in any regular season contest. A jamboree, on the other hand, is where you play not more than 4 quarters total for any one team, playing against multiple other opponents in a round-robin format. So that is what we are doing here tonight. So even though you see second quarter up on the board, this is also the last quarter between these 2 opponents.
And we begin the second quarter with Leesburg possession. They'll be at their own 19. And we've seen this a lot tonight, Mark, just unable to do anything on the ground. I think Leesburg's only thrown 2 passes, to be honest.
Loss of 2, make it 4 on the opening play of the drive. That'll bring up 2nd and 14 for the Yellowjackets.
And just to show you what happens at the high school level, I'm looking across. I can see the first down marker there. I believe that's Bobby Biaggi who's handling the first down marker.
Well, sometimes
Our
if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself.
My point is he's the athletic director, and he's down there doing the staff work. Yeah, that's Mr. Biaggi. Of course, Bobby was an athletic trainer, unlike most athletic directors. He came up through the ranks on the medical side, not the coaching side. As we got a nifty run there, a nice juke and a nice jive, and that will certainly be the longest rush of this game for Leesburg, their second longest on the night. They did have about a 65-yard run against Wekiva with about 3 minutes left. And this will be about 12 yards, gives them a first down as well.
Right up the middle for the Yellowjackets. Breaking away from the peloton, they have regained the original line of scrimmage. Ball spotted at the 40-yard line. 1st and 10. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe his knee came down earlier than I thought, because I thought he had more yards than that. But
yeah,
it's
I did too.
Just back to the original line of scrimmage as far as they're going to give him credit for there.
So another run, this time to the right side, not nearly as much, but solid for first down.
Oh, there must have been a penalty. That's the only explanation, because that's why it would have still been first down. In any case, on first down, a pickup of a long 3. We'll bring up 2nd down from the 43-yard line.
So back to work they go with trips on the right side, and it's going to actually be a handoff to the near inside, lining up as a H-back. Approaching 9 minutes, still a 14-0 lead for Horizon. They scored on the first 2 possessions. Moving the ball about 65 yards on their first possession. The second possession only needing to move about 25 yards as an interception set up the play, an 8-yard return. Of course, we are at Mustang Field, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. They lost the first half.
3rd and 1 coming up for the Yellowjackets.
14-0 was the final score to Leesburg. And that'll bring up 4th down. Defensive line stringing out that play.
Number 27 on the carry Giuliano Amato on the stop, and that's going to be a loss of 2 yards. That'll now bring up 4th and 3 for the Yellowjackets from their own 47-yard line. It looks like they're going to opt for the punt. Which doesn't go much of anywhere.
High and out of bounds quickly.
Punt is out of bounds at the 35-yard line. And that is where we'll take over with 1st and 10. Hawks leading 14-0 with 7 minutes 40 seconds remaining in this particular matchup. Part 2 of 3 of our 2026 Mustangs Spring Jamboree.
So, Mark, also want to mention, since Horizon's the home team, we look in front here, team that does travel well. It's pretty loaded stands here, not seeing a lot of empty seats. And Horizon, somewhat of a surprise, given that Horizon, as I mentioned, all the way on the north central area of Orange County, almost in Osceola, about a mile away. It's about an hour-long trip from Horizon.
Rodrigo Tolentino on the carry for the Hawks. That'll be a loss of 2. 2nd and 12 coming up for Horizon from their own 33-yard line.
And we got an injury as well. Player's not down on the ground. It's number 34 who's now out of the picture. He is limping off of, now he just fell down. He's up there in that upper left-hand corner, and that looks like it's some type of cramp. You see the leg being lifted up there by the trainer and stretched out. That's almost always because of cramps in the hamstrings. So 7:31 remaining. And we'll have one more half, and that'll pit Wekiva against Horizon.
Neil, keep me honest here, this is the 3rd time we've had a stoppage for injury?
I believe so.
Just in these 2 quarters?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think we had 2 or 3 injuries in the first half, the game between Wekiva and Leesburg.
Yeah, although I don't remember them being significant clock stoppages like these have been. I mean, obviously, safety and health is our first priority, so the trainers are going to take all the time they need to make sure that whatever the injured athlete needs is being addressed. I'd rather get it right than get it fast.
Yeah, again, if you did join us late, we're not trying to disrespect Leesburg. We just do not have a roster for them. That's not why we're not using any names. We just don't know who the players' names are. So Leesburg, as I mentioned, played in that first game, the first half, against Wekiva, and they took a 14-0 victory, scoring in the first quarter on Wekiva's second possession, a pick six, about 30-yard return, and then with about 3 minutes left, they got a 65-yard bolt straight up the middle, nothing fancy, just opened up a hole in the middle of the line that put the ball down at about the 25-yard line in Wekiva, and 5 plays later, same play, just not as much, from about 3 yards out, powering in the running back, to secure that victory, up the lead to 14-0. And again, there was maybe 30 seconds remaining. This game, Horizon now with the 14-0 lead themselves, scoring on their first possession, moving the ball about 65 yards. Very efficient, economical, very consistent drive. Well balanced in terms of the run versus the pass. And that culminated with a 36-yard touchdown run from Sampson, the quarterback. And then they scored with 5:41 remaining in that first touchdown with 8:36 remaining. Then they scored with 5:41 remaining in the first quarter. That was actually set up by a pick, an interception, 25 yards, and Sampson scored from 2 yards out. So 2 touchdowns now from the quarterback. They take possession again, 7.5 minutes remaining, and second and 12 now from their own 33-yard line. Sampson drops back, one back drop over the DB and got his hands on that ball just the last moment. Otherwise, the receiver was wide open.
Pass intended for Dane St. Clair, falling incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd and 12 for the Hawks.
So now with 7:16 remaining, up by the 2 touchdowns, of course. You want to get that first down, keep possession, and still have an opportunity to score. Obviously, if you have possession of the ball, you always have an opportunity to score, which is not true if you don't have possession, if the opponent has possession. But they do have some room if they don't get it, which they do not there. Even if that ball was caught, it still would have been 5 yards short. So Leesburg will have maybe their last opportunity, not just of this game, but of the night.
Pass intended for Sampson falls incomplete. Now 4th and 12 coming up for Horizon. 7 minutes. You know, this pair of quarters feels a lot longer than the first pair.
Yeah,
and part of that is because of the injury timeouts. Part of that is because of the scoring. Part of it is just because of the pace of the game. But nevertheless, here we are. Punt is out of bounds, and that will turn the ball over to Leesburg. Yellowjackets will take over with 1st and 10. Starting from midfield. So both of these teams struggling a little bit on the punting. Not seeing a lot of net yardage coming out of that, despite the fact that no defense is allowed on those punting plays. But
now
again, lots of time to practice that, get that muscle memory going over the summer.
Yeah, now the wind picking up, by the way.
Yes, we've got wind screens on all of our microphones, but you know, when you get a wind tunnel effect here in the press box, there's only so much we can do about that, so we apologize for that.
Handoff again, fumble. Scramble, and Horizon recovers. The second turnover for Leesburg, and that was definitely a fumble caused by the defense.
It was a rough pass. Like it was not a great pass. He didn't really have total control of that, but yeah, absolutely, Horizon made that happen. And scoop up the fumble, and Horizon will get an extra possession here. The ball is at the 30-yard line, 1st and 10 Hawks.
So the Leesburg offensive line has been under duress for most of this game. I'd probably say 75%. They've been close enough to where the running back and quarterback knew or could at least hear the defensive line, and that, I believe, had something to do with the two, just that constant pressure working on the minds of the running back and the quarterback for Leesburg.
Leesburg requests a timeout, their first timeout of this portion of the game. 6 minutes, 39 seconds remaining in the second of 2 quarters. And Leesburg trailing 14-0 with 6.5 to go. Again, if you are tuning into Wekiva Sports and wondering, wait a minute, why is Wekiva covering a game that doesn't have Wekiva in it? Well, that's because Wekiva is taking a break right now. They will be back to play the last 2 quarters in this Jamboree against Horizon, so that'll happen in 6 minutes and 39 seconds of game time as we get back to live action here. And Horizon ready to go with their bonus possession.
Already with that 14-0 lead, certainly if they could punch it in here, that would secure the victory. And not quite there, but certainly looking good. A bit of a tiptoe.
Carry there made for the Hawks by Rodrigo Tolentino. And that will take the ball down inside the red zone, spotted at the 15-yard line, 1st and 10.
Hand off again to Tolentino. He's stacked up at the line of scrimmage, but leans forward. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. Just under 6 minutes, so even if unable to score here, Horizon's going to do a lot of damage.
Well, Afanador on the carry, and that's a pickup of maybe 1. 2nd and 9 coming up from the 14.
Horizon still with an opportunity to do a lot of damage to Leesburg's opportunity to win here. Taking time off the clock, as you can see, not in any hurry to snap that ball. They go back to the 1-back set with the H-back in front, and now they go back to the right side. A nice soft pass. It was caught in, touchdown, 20-0. Horizon, 5:13 remaining.
Well, as we watch the replay, you're going to see I got fooled. I was following the wrong guy.
Okay, excuse me, that was not
Handoff is faked to Will Afanador, and instead gets screened to Quincy Darling, who does not quite have the first down, but has the ball down to the 7-yard line for a pickup of 7.
Okay, so excuse me. Sometimes from this booth, it's a bit hard to see those last 10 yards or so. We are on a very extreme angle, so I did thought he crossed the line. Nonetheless, 3rd down. Shakes off that first tackle, will not be able to advance when the second wave hits, but again, 4.5 minutes remaining, clock continues to tick.
Rodrigo Tolentino on the carry this time, and no gain on that play. Still 4th and 3 now. Yeah, at this point, if you're Horizon, I don't know you get anything out of practicing a field goal here, especially since they can't play defense anyway. Yeah, so I don't see why you do anything other than go for it.
Sampson lines the Hawks up, Horizon. And he'll run it himself. Can he turn that corner? Yes, and motors up. And he does get into the end zone, but there was a flag. Now down to 3:55.
QB keeper for Hunter Sampson, pending the outcome of the penalty marker, which is holding called against the Hawks offense. So that touchdown will come back, 10-yard penalty, and a replay of 4th down.
So now it's maybe not as intense a situation in terms of the impact as normally, but nonetheless, that does stop the clock, and that's a break not only in terms of the yardage, but it's also a break for Leesburg because it stops the clock.
Yeah, although I'll tell you what, if you're the Hawks coaching staff, if you're the Hawks offensive coordinator, yeah, you'd like to see that done cleaner. But that at least, that's the kind of penalty that's just part of the game. I mean, yes, that's how Sampson had time to get around the corner and get into the. It
happened during the play, live action.
Right, and it was a legitimate play on the ball, and Leesburg requests their second timeout of the game used by the Yellowjackets.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we brought up since really the beginning of the broadcast, even talking about the first game between Wekiva and Leesburg. We've seen a lot of self-destructive, a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. Of course, the most obvious and direct are penalties, and those penalties self-inflicted penalties are offsides, too many men on the field, illegal shifts, those type of penalties, which defense has nothing to do with.
Yeah, those are. I frequently announce them as donations to the other team's cause. So again, obviously that's still a learning opportunity there because that without that holding call, that's potentially 7 points in the books for you. But in this case, though, I think I'm not too mad about that. So now airing it out, up for grabs. Can he reel it in? No. And
that was number 88. Man, did a great job of staying with the ball, but just couldn't quite.
Davian Bradley, the intended receiver, and the pass falls incomplete. That'll turn the ball over on downs to the Yellowjackets.
3:45 remaining.
Yeah, and you saw Bradley raise his hands to his helmet at the end there of like, oh, I had that.
Yeah, give credit to Sampson, though. That was a beautifully
thrown
pass. Probably the hardest pass to throw is the over-the-shoulder when you have a defender right on the back of your receiver, and he had the perfect arch on that and touch.
Right, that was going to be a contested reception, but it was never going to be an INT.
Yeah, that was a pass, to use the old saying, that it was in a location that only his receiver could catch it.
So in any case, unlikely to affect the outcome of the ball game, and even if it did, the outcome of the ball game doesn't technically matter. But still, you know that, Bradley's going to have nightmares about that for a couple nights.
Nonetheless, though, like I mentioned, Horizon did do some damage, taking time off the clock down to 3:45 now, as Leesburg continues to try to pound and ground. Pick up about 5 yards there, and obviously, it's not the most important thing, as we've mentioned many times. This is an exhibition, a scrimmage. Does not count towards any records, overall records. But Leesburg has not thrown many passes tonight. I believe they've only thrown 2 passes in this game and only a couple in the first game against Horizons or against Wekiva. So they have a long, long way to go. On top of, because they're continually running that ball, on top of Horizon taking more time off the clock, and that's going to just eat up even more time there.
Bad snap will result in a loss.
Oh, it's a turnover.
And in fact, a fumble with a turnover. And so that will be Horizon's ball now at the 15-yard line. So Horizon gets redemption here. They choked in the red zone the last time they had the opportunity. And so now, with another minute eaten up off the clock, they will, in fact, have a chance to have the last word of this Spring Jamboree segment.
And by the way, Leesburg, 5-5 last season. And now if you're Horizon with 2:43 left, I think you just want to run out that clock, not commit any increase the odds for injuries. But I have to say it again, Mark, of the 3 teams, Horizon does look like they're the closest. They really look like a team, from what we've seen, that they could go in. Right now, they could start their season. They have room to improve, but certainly for playing their first game of the season, they certainly look like a team that could be fairly competitive and probably even win.
Hunter Sampson on the QB keeper will pick up 5 yards down to the 9-yard line. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Hawks.
They just look very efficient on both sides of the line. They look like a team that knows what they're doing. They look like a team that's communicating well. A team that really looks like the players know what their roles are. And we're going to see a 20-0 lead. Sampson end around. Excellent blocking up there. No one near him as he jaunts in.
Hunter Sampson hops, skips, and jumps into the end zone for the 3rd Hawks touchdown. 20-0 your score with a buck and a half remaining in this second quarter. Again, not that Leesburg is unconcerned with this play, but there is no defense on kicking plays during these exhibition games.
And
Alomia's kick is up and good. And so that will make it a 21-0 ball game as the clock rounds 1 minute remaining in this second quarter. Again, if you're wondering where's Wekiva, they'll be back. They will be taking on Horizon for the third and final segment of this game. Coming up next, we have, again, 2 quarters of Wekiva versus Leesburg, 2 quarters of Horizon versus Leesburg, and then 2 quarters of Horizon versus Wekiva. So 6 quarters total. I want to thank those of you who are tuning in on YouTube and the NFHS Network. Go ahead and bookmark this channel. We intend to keep doing this. We've got maybe some more equipment. Oh, bad snap again. We got some more equipment coming in over the summer. We try to get a little bit better at this every year. We got wireless cameras now. We got multi-camera. We got instant replay. So yeah, we try to get a little bit closer to, you know, ESPN, NBC Sports level quality every year. Operating on a high school budget. But we will be back in the fall. We'll be covering Wekiva football. We'll be covering volleyball in the gym. Not that we don't care about bowling and golf and cross country. It's just that those things happen, and swimming as well, but it's just those things happen off campus, and we can't bring our gear over there and find power outlets and internet connections. So it's not that we don't like those sports. We still cover them online. We just are not able to live stream the way that we can with the team sports that happen here on campus. But football and volleyball in the fall. Basketball and soccer in the spring, in the winter, and then of course baseball, softball. We'll see if we end up fielding lacrosse this year, and boys volleyball happening in the spring as well as flag football.
And that will
Leesburg. Oh, that will take us to a timeout. Leesburg requesting their final timeout.
So again, this has been a Horizon in control from the beginning, scoring that 21 points. Their first drive, give you a quick summary here during the scoring summary during the timeout, 8:36 remaining. First quarter is the quarterback Sampson jaunting for 36 yards, straight up the middle, and that capped off a 65-yard drive. And then a pick, an interception along that left sideline, the upper part, the far sideline from our perspective, about the 25-yard line. Horizon took over. Sampson scampering the last 2 yards to score and make it 14-0, 5:41 in the first quarter. And then they got the turnover, the fumble at about the 20-yard line, a 5-yard run for Sampson to close out the scoring and make it 21-0. That was with about a minute and a half left. Horizon looking very much like a team ready to get ready to start the regular season. Very efficient on both sides of the ball, as well as communicating and everybody knowing the role. Mark, take us to the finish line for the second of 3 halves.
Takes us to the end of our second segment. 21-0, the Hawks with a victory over the Yellowjackets in these 2 quarters. So Leesburg will go home 1-1. Hawks still have 2 more quarters to play. Coming up next, Horizon takes on your host school, the Wekiva Mustangs, right after we take a quick break. All right, there it is, the official changing of the logo. We just switched Wekiva from the old logo to the new logo. So for the very first time, here you go. That's Wekiva's new logo. And we are underway as I cut to the broadcast here. Let's get those graphics out of the way. They went from the coin toss right into playing without any kind of pomp and circumstance. So welcome once again to Mustang Field for our third and final segment of tonight's contest. This half will feature the Horizon Hawks and the Wekiva Mustangs. I want to remind you once again, we are live streaming. We have viewers from Utah to Hawaii to Canada and beyond. And if you have friends and family in Winter Garden, elsewhere in Apopka, or just anywhere in the world, we invite you to send them our way. We are in two places. We're on NFHSnetwork.com and YouTube, channel Wekiva Sports. Horizon has the opening possession, and they certainly make the most of it. That run there is courtesy of number 15. That's Rodrigo Tolentino. Gets him into Mustang territory. And the first down of the game for Horizon. Now from the Mustangs, 40-yard line. So bringing back into the broadcast my partner, Neil Fisher, longtime Apopka sports journalist. My name is Mark Bargy, voice of the Mustangs. If you're just joining us, welcome to Mustang Field. This is part 3 of 3. So again, if you're not following along so far, this is a Jamboree format. So we had 2 quarters wherein Leesburg defeated Wekiva 14-0. Then we had 2 more quarters where Horizon defeated Leesburg 21-0. And now we have Horizon versus Wekiva. So certainly if you're just going to go, if A is greater than B and B is greater than C, then A is greater than C. If you're going to follow your high school algebra class, that tells you that Horizon's going to be your favorite here. But Horizon perhaps is fatigued. They've just played 2 quarters in a row and then had the warm-up. Wekiva has been able to sit in their Barca loungers, probably not, for the last 2 quarters. So maybe Wekiva has a little bit of refreshment that Horizon doesn't. We'll see if it makes a difference, Neil.
Well, so far that has been the case. Horizon, as you just saw that long run while we were getting settled in just as quickly as it takes to settle in, and now they're on Wekiva's side of the field, not quite down into the red zone, but they are at the 40-yard line and threatening again. As you mentioned, Wekiva losing the opener to Leesburg. Leesburg 1-1 after losing to Horizon, so they're done for the night. And on 3rd down in about 5, Sampson hands it. Nope, it's play action. And, well, perhaps he wouldn't have completed the pass, but certainly
would have been better off taking the handoff.
Well, he stumbled on his own 2 feet there. Maybe ran into a divot or something in the grass.
Sampson, trying to keep it himself, will fall, and that'll be a loss of 5 yards. And that brings the ball back to the 39-yard line, 38-yard line. Make it 4th and 8 now coming up for Horizon.
And Horizon just decides to go for that first down. They're not trying to pull Wekiva offside. You won't get a first down. Sampson looks over to the coaching staff, gets his play. Clock continues to run, 9.5 first quarter. And they remain in those double on each side. Hand it off out of that passing formation, straight up the middle. A bit of a wheel run to the right about midway through, but mostly just blowing through the middle of that line.
Carry by number 14, Will Athanador.
So
stop is made for the Mustangs by number 3, Avante Scott.
Ball at
it's enough for a first down. Ball at the 24-yard line.
Drive started at the 20, actually the 35, as is the case in these preseason games. Another carry there, much shorter yardage.
No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 coming up from the 24.
So it'll be the 6th play of this possession. As now the sun descends upon Mustang Field. And handoff doesn't get into the running back, and Wekiva says they have it, and Yes, they do. There's the official signal. So Wekiva catches a break,
All
the
right,
first of the
let's see
game.
it again and see if we can see who got it. Was it 11? No. There he is.
Although 11 did have a hand
Play
in
that again.
11 did have a hand in that, preventing Horizon from getting to it. It was
4.
9. Oh, 4, okay. So there's a self-inflicted mistake.
Yep. I'll play it one more time so I can make sure I get it right here.
And looking at that replay, it looks like Sampson.
It is 4.
Sampson never really had control of
Jalen
that ball.
Noel comes up with the fumble, and so the Mustangs will take over at their own 26-yard line.
8:05 remaining. Out of the shotgun, quick pass. Defense comes up quickly. It'll be minimum gain. Actually, I think he lost a yard.
Pass is complete to number 2, Bakari Manley, taken down by Dane St. Clair. No gain on the play. In fact, a loss of 3. 2nd and 13 coming up for the Mustangs.
So 2nd and 13, as you just heard Mark say. Running out of that one-back set again with trips on the near side. Immediately taken down again. Number 6.
Handoff is made to Landon Jerome, who is immediately stopped by the Hawks. Number 44, Abishai Smith. No gain on the play. 3rd and 13 coming up for Wekiva.
The ball remains on the 24-yard line. So Wekiva catching the first big break of the game. A self-inflicted mistake by Horizon, the fumble. Quarterback Sampson never really able to get the grasp out of the snap. And now Wekiva needs the 13 yards to take advantage to at least build some momentum on that fumble / turnover. Motion, quick pass, one back drop. Breaks that first tackle, breaks a second and a third, and gets that first down on the 3rd and 4th effort. Excellent effort.
The pass is complete to number 2, Bakari Manley, who is bumbling and stumbling all the way to the Mustang. First down. Ball spotted at the 38-yard line, 1st and 10, Wekiva.
So that's a 14-yard gain.
And we have reached the midpoint of the first quarter. 6 minutes, 21 seconds remaining. We remain scoreless here in the 3rd and final component of our spring jamboree, and we'll pause for a timeout. Coming up next season here at Wekiva, we will be celebrating our 20th anniversary season, 2007 through 2027. Look for lots of opportunities to celebrate 20 years of Wekiva athletics. It's been my pleasure to be part of all of them. 1st and 10 Mustangs at the 38-yard line coming out of the water break.
Got a long snap count here, Mark. And another quick pass. This one batted out of the air immediately.
The pass is deflected by the Hawks, number 17, Juliana Amato. That'll, of course, fall incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up from the Mustangs' own 38-yard line.
So want to also point out, Mark, about that turnover, which gave Wekiva current possession. Talked about throughout the whole game, the first game when Horizon took on Leesburg, how much better Horizon looked. They just looked like a team that was ready to move into the regular season. Of course, they had some room, but they were not making mistakes you see usually in spring games, and just as quickly they did make that mistake. Just a self-inflicted mistake, and now that ball batted in the air, and they redeemed themselves just that quickly. I couldn't see who snagged that, but the ball went right to them. There was about 5 defenders there, though, so probably somebody would have come up with it. In any case, again, the defensive pressure, the key.
Let me slow this down.
That's
that was 6.
Yeah,
Yep.
number 6.
Let's see who had the actual deflection. That was
44. Nope. That was
21. 21. Okay, so 21 and 6. I can remember that. The pass is deflected by Lorenzo Oliveira Madrigal and then picked off by Nathan Dickinson.
So Horizon
takes over at the Mustang 26-yard line.
And that's something you saw often in the game against Leesburg. Horizon getting 2 or 3 possessions inside the opponent's 30-yard line. So they continue that trend tonight. And again, chance to break this scoreless tie. Won't happen there, about 2 yards.
This is going to be a terrible replay shot, but I'll show it to you anyway because it was all on the far side of the field. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 coming up. As we dip under 4:45 remaining in the first quarter. I'll tell you what, Neil, it sure does feel like every time Wekiva's on the field, that clock just has a little extra pep in its step.
Yeah, tick, 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 tick.
Another dust up the middle.
Yeah, literally you can see the dust rising up.
QB keeper by Hunter Sampson. Yeah, we've been unusually dry here the last week or so. So even though the field is in otherwise pretty decent condition, it's a little thirsty.
Sampson, snap count, 1 back set, 2-step drop. Another incomplete pass, so give it credit to Wekiva's defense. I think
pass intended for number 88, Damian Bradley, falls incomplete. Now 4th and long coming up for the Hawks.
the job not quite done yet. Obviously, Horizon's going to go for the first down here. You're really in no man's land, as you like to say, Mark, in terms of punting. But so far, they've done what they have to through the first 3 downs. They need one more stop here.
Yeah, Wekiva's offense has been, well, let's just say inconsistent, as we've seen them in the first 2 quarters where they played against Leesburg. But defense, not a lot to complain about. That could have been caught, but good coverage there by the Mustangs anyhow. Pass intended for Connor Mellon falls incomplete. Secondary coverage for the Mustangs, courtesy Gavin Anderson Brown, and that will turn the ball on downs over to the Mustangs. So after trading turnovers with the Hawks, the Mustang defense comes up with the stop, and we remain scoreless with 3 minutes 37 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Wekiva takes over with 1st and 10 from their own 27-yard line.
Now officially night at Mustang Field, next to the 414. Quick pass, 4 yards gain. Solid gain, what Wekiva needs on that first down coming off the interception.
Pick up a 4 make it 5 on the play for the Mustangs. 2nd and 5, coming up for the Mustangs from their own 33-yard line. Trying to make sure I give you the down and distance as often as I can. I know that portion of our scoreboard is not working tonight, so we'll get that squared away between now and August.
Ooh, dropped. That was a nice pass. Would have been a first down. Right in the old breadbasket.
The pass intended for Dominique Walker falls incomplete. 3rd and 5 coming up for Wekiva.
So Wekiva, once again, facing 3rd and long. That's something we saw a lot of last year, in addition to their other faults. And we've seen it tonight as well. Continues into tonight. Wekiva lines up, empty backfield. Well, they do have an H-back under pressure, now gets rid of it, and definitely a live to fight another day pass there. And so Wekiva will be forced
Mustangs
to
hurried by Juliana Amato, and the pass is thrown away to be incomplete. 4th and 5 coming up.
And meantime, we have a timeout. Oh, no. Okay, no timeout, excuse me.
Yeah, there's no reason to stand out there.
Actually, I didn't see the punter out there. So
Mustangs will punt it away.
Yeah, definitely a good thing there was no defense there. That ball skipping. We definitely need to work on our long snapping. And it'll be excellent field position for Horizon, taking over around midfield. So far, it's been not a question of if the dam's going to break, but when. Wekiva dodging a couple bullets. Of course, the turnover, self-inflicted mistake. Sampson never able to quite get a grasp on the football, and it rolled right into the defensive line. Defense did come up and played well in their last series, which Horizon got the possession because of a turnover, a fumble. So Horizon goes back to work now, and actually it's not going to be near midfield. It will be 1st and 10 from the 35, Horizon 35-yard line, as Sampson lines them up. Handoff inside. Defensive line collapsing quickly.
Flag on the play, face mask. Called against the Mustang defense. That's 15-yard penalty and a first down.
Oh, wow, 15 yards. So, of course, if you're new to football, you can get a 15 or a 5-yard penalty. 15 is when it was considered intentional, or they did not let go of the face mask quickly. They prolonged the face mask.
Yeah, so Wekiva's defense gets smited there.
5 yards is a coincidental. And following that 15-yarder, which put Horizon in Wekiva territory, they gained 7 yards. So again, mentioned that in the first game. Wekiva had a couple series. They didn't do anything on the first couple plays. Even lost a couple yards. They then received the penalty, or Leesburg committed the penalty. Wekiva received the yardage from the penalty, and then suddenly they run off 3 or 4 plays in which they're gaining 10 yards. Again, it starts with the penalty just giving new life to the opponent. And now again, pushed back there at the end, but I believe he did gain the first down. If not, he's within a yard. Had some forward momentum. Oh, maybe, no, he did not.
No.
It looked like he had some more forward momentum than he did.
On forward progress, the Hawks will make it down to the 44-yard line and brings up 3rd and 4. 40 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Again, these are only 2-quarter games, and I gotta say, Neil, this is going better than I thought it might have just from watching the first 4 quarters of, a dropped snap. That's going to punish Horizon.
Yeah, second bad snap, as I mentioned.
Hunter Sampson is able to wrangle the bad snap, but it will cost the Hawks about 10 yards.
Horizon looked poised to score about 2 possessions ago, maybe 3, and bad snap brought that opportunity to an end and does it here again.
Yeah, like I said, Neil, if you just watched the 2 quarters of Wekiva versus Leesburg and then you watched the 2 quarters of Horizon
versus
Leesburg. I get tongue twisted here. The first quarters of Wekiva versus Leesburg and then the second 2 quarters of Horizon versus Leesburg, you might have assumed that this was not going to go well
for Wekiva.
But again, it could be fatigue. It could be Wekiva made some corrections and figured some things out. I'll be honest, Wekiva's offense still doesn't quite seem to know what it wants to do, but at least on defense, Wekiva is able to stand up to Horizon in a way that they were not to Leesburg.
It looks like they seem to have some semblance of an identity and a character. The defense, that is, in terms of how they're going to attack the opponent and how they're going to play, which we did not see.
On 4th and long, the Hawks will choose to punt, and again, because this is a Jamboree, those are not live ball plays, so Avante Scott will down the ball, and that is where Wekiva will start their next possession. 1st and 10 Wekiva from their own 30.
And Wekiva, to close out my point, just did not look like they had a character and identity against Leesburg.
So yeah, I mean, and we've seen that happen in real games before, where you go in the locker room at halftime and you figure out your life. Coach peels the paint off the wall, and figure out what you're doing wrong, and and then it's just a different combination here. Obviously, Horizon's play style is a little different than Leesburg. They do opt for the pass selection a little bit more often. Wekiva seems to be better positioned to deal with that. Secondary has been going well for Wekiva. The pass rush has been going reasonably well for Wekiva. So, again, maybe Wekiva's defensive style is just a little bit more compatible with Horizon's. Now, here's the moment of truth, though, as we get ready to go into the second quarter here. That's all right.
And it's going to be a pass over the middle. I think that's the longest attempt of the night. And I believe
pass is dropped by Giovanni Bufford. It's good. Oh, no. Are they going to rule it a fumble?
Yes, they are.
And correction, it was not dropped, at least not immediately. It was caught and then fumbled. And so Horizon will take over from their own 40. Well, as I was just saying, the moment of truth for the offense, and there it was.
Yeah, that's definitely a case, at least in my opinion. It's a shame that we don't have instant replay at the high school level. I certainly would like to take a look at that again. I'm not so sure that was a catch and then a fumble.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was messing with the scoreboard and was not operating the instant replay camera. We're a little short-staffed tonight, if we didn't tell you before.
So the handoff, the counter attack.
I want to thank Brady Raynard, who's our baseball star and who's running the camera upstairs for us, even though he's graduating. Hasn't stopped him from still helping us out here. So thank you, Brady. We appreciate the camera work. I know he can't hear me because I don't have the headset on for that, but we appreciate Brady helping us all year, really. I mean, except for baseball, which I thought was really rotten of him that he stiffed us during baseball season because he had to play. But other than baseball season, he's been your camera one operator for, just about every sport we have that we cover, and I don't know what we would have done without him.
Of course, we also wish Brady the best of luck moving forward. It's going to be strange not just not seeing him around.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do next year.
But also, of course, his older brother Zach was a student athlete here too. So
Pass overthrown and incomplete.
and during baseball season, his parents operate the concession stand. So it's going to be strange just not seeing the Reiners
I think all the way back to like the Lalondes in softball or some of the other families we've had. I think about like the dynastic presences that we have, where we'll have 2 or 3 or 4 kids come through the athletic programs in varying years, and then when finally the last one graduates, which in 20 years that'll happen, and we're like, oh my goodness, now what are we going to do? I'll tell you what.
There was also going way back to the beginning, the Arnheims.
Yes, I remember them.
So,
now
of course,
Mary just retired.
She did retire.
Yes, she did retire this year.
Okay, it was her
so
last
we
year.
wish her a happy retirement.
Mary, of course, was the bookkeeper.
Inaugural bookkeeper for Wekiva. And I'll tell you what, I was talking with my wife, who is the choir director here, and she told me next year she will, for the first time, teach a second-generation Mustang. So she will teach the child of one of her former students.
Now, see, that's a bit of a surprise for me based on what you were just saying, because, like I said, we're sitting here talking about having actually, we didn't mention 2 generations. We were talking about siblings, but still, 20 years now.
She will finally have a freshman of somebody that she had as a senior in her first year.
So one of the things that I always thought was neat to continue this conversation, for many years I also covered a Popka Little League. And there was probably 5 or 6 ball players who I actually covered their father as well. Of course, I think it's probably a little bit easier when you're talking about Pop Warner or Little League Baseball, or in hockey, it's Bantam hockey. I know we don't have hockey, hockey not down here, but to bring up another sport, I think it's a little bit easier at those levels when you're, your very first organized competitive sports, because you are dealing with kids who are like 9, 10, 11 years old as opposed to teenagers. So
the Hawks go 3 and out. However, the punt could not have been better as they pin Wekiva at the 1-yard line to start their drive.
So I think it's probably a little bit more conducive, like I was saying, when you're talking about youth sports, the very first time that you have that first level of organized competition.
And to clarify, it's not the first time it's happened.
High school.
Safety. Let's watch that again. All right, slow it down. I'm going to give that to number 21 with an assist by 10. Safety earned by Lorenzo Oliveira Madrigal with an assist from Justin Cinturino. 2 points on the board for Horizon. So, Neil, that's short of actually getting the touchdown, that's the best outcome, right? That Horizon punts, sticks the landing on the 1-yard line and then gets a safety on the next play.
You can also make a case that maybe the safety is the best because now
and then they get the ball back. And
course,
possession, yeah.
And when you have possession of the ball, you can control the clock. So, in any case, it certainly is always a momentum builder to get a safety. It's one of those donkey kick to the gut type stretches in the game. Although that looked like someone got stuffed right in the stomach, but
Will Alfanador on the carry. Pick up a 2 on the play. 2nd and a long 8 coming up for the Hawks. So, as I was saying a moment ago before I was rudely interrupted by that safety, while my wife, Mrs. Barchi, will have her first second-generation Mustang next year, it's not the first time it's happened. It's just the first time it's happened to her.
Oh, a brilliant run there. Sweeping
Hunter
right
Sampson
to left, and then
finds
left to right.
a hole and makes it all the way almost to midfield. The ball spotted at, well, we'll call it exactly the 50-yard line. First down, Horizon. 9 minutes, 15 seconds to go here. And again, I know it says second quarter, but don't let that fool you. It's really the sixth quarter or the fourth quarter for each of these teams. But we'll just say it's the last quarter.
Yeah, again, this was a Jamboree, 3 teams competing. Each of them played 2 halves, and they traded off. It was Leesburg and Wekiva in the first half. Then Leesburg and Horizon in that second, or if you prefer, middle half. And now
Sampson again up the middle. Not quite as razzle-dazzle as the previous play, but still worth 6 yards. 2nd and 4 coming up for Horizon from the Mustangs' 44-yard line.
And so this third or last half, Horizon and Wekiva duking it out. Of course, the site is Mustang Field on the Wekiva campus, right next to the State Route 414 or 429, southeast of Popka. Just a couple miles from Maitland to give you some idea of the proximity. Burst through the middle, shaking off a couple would-be tacklers there once he got up to full speed.
Run by number 15, Rodrigo Tolentino.
And
he takes the Mustangs with him, finally taken down by number 5, Gavin Anderson Brown, but not before picking up a Hawks first down.
And I believe we have a timeout, certainly a stoppage. And now Horizon gaining some momentum, building some pace and
That puts the ball at the 20-yard line. The Mustangs request their first timeout. Once again, if anybody wants to join the conclusion, even if they haven't been watching up to this point, send them our way. Just shoot them a text message right now and let them know. If you've got friends or family back in Winter Garden, elsewhere in Apopka, maybe in Hawaii, maybe internationally, send them to our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports, and they can follow along live. And make sure you bookmark it and subscribe while you're there, because we're going to do this again in August. Snap away. Another pretty conventional run. And you know, Neil, what I'm seeing here is that what Horizon's been doing these last couple of drives actually looks more like what Leesburg was doing.
Yeah, there's not anything fancy or advanced. Nothing fancy or advanced. They're just beating Wekiva in the trenches, pushing them back.
Yeah, as soon as Horizon started playing Leesburg's game, they started winning.
Here we go again.
Fumbled. Picked up by the Mustangs.
One man to beat. That's the quarterback, and he's going to down to the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But it might not stick. There's a flag way back at the 35-yard line, right next to the Wekiva sideline.
For touchdown, pending the outcome of the penalty marker. That was Avante Scott that ran the length of the field. But there is laundry on the field. Penalty marker is all the way back at the 36-yard line. So whatever happened, it happened early.
Yeah, so again, we'll get the official notice, but
block in the back. called against the Mustangs, and so that touchdown will come back.
Okay, so I was correct. Well, in my thinking process, I just didn't get a chance to say it. But a blocking in the back means that the penalty was committed before the fumble, so the fumble never actually occurred.
Well, blocking the back could happen after the fumble. Let's see. They didn't give a very clear signal of what's going on here. Sideline warning. Oh. Okay. Since that was the second sideline infraction, that penalty will be added to the end of the play. Bottom line, the fumble stands, so Wekiva still gets the ball after the fumble, but when you penalize the block in the back and then stack the sideline infraction on top of it, instead of having a touchdown, Wekiva now is 1st and 10 from their own 5.
Okay, and I was wrong. I stand corrected. The penalty occurred after the fumble.
So Wekiva almost had something brilliant, but you see that so often where you have a breakaway play and then get it called back by a block in the back, because in the open field, when the play has broken down and the lines of the offensive defensive lines have broken down and it's just, a free-for-all out there, that's when your block in the back calls happen.
So now out of the end zone and miscommunication there, number 2 never looked back.
Pass was intended for Bakari Manley, which was a great surprise to him. It falls incomplete, and that takes us to the midpoint of our final quarter. 6 minutes, 23 seconds left in the ball game, and we will pause for the old cause. 2-0. Horizon leads. Wekiva has the ball with 97 yards ahead of them as we go into our last half quarter of football here in the 2026 Mustang Spring Classic. So Neil, thanks again for joining me all these games, these last 20 years. I know you've been covering for print, you've been covering for photojournalism, you've been covering for play-by-play. Every once in a while, you fill in for me on public address. So you and I have both kind of been around the block and done it all. You've written for our website, which I appreciate as well. So this is the conclusion of 19 years here at Wekiva. Neil and I have been there for all of them. Now we are older and theoretically wiser. I don't know if that's actually true, but we are ready to go into an anniversary year.
Say to quote Mr. Spock, for those of you who don't know, we're Star Trek fans. It's logical. The logic is that we are supposed to be wiser, have learned from our mistakes.
It has been interesting to note all the things that have changed, and yet what has remained the same.
Speaking of Star Trek, when we first started, was Voyager still on the air?
2007?
Yeah, the Enterprise, I believe, was, though. But my point is that the last of the original 5 series, it's been 15 years, maybe even 15 years since they've gone off the air.
Pass falls incomplete. Now 4th and long coming up for the Mustangs. Neil, I don't know what you do here. I mean, the playbook says you punt it away, which I think is what they're going to do. But golly, if you don't get some good net yardage on this punt, you're just as far in the hole as you were before. And you only got 6 minutes left, and at least the pacing of this game has suggested that 6 minutes is not a lot of possessions. But here we go. Yeah, that ain't going to work.
Going to go to around the 25.
Okay.
They'll get a break there. It'll roll about another 5 yards, but still 30.
Well, you're going to make Horizon get 1 or 2 first downs, maybe.
That's as good a possession as any team will ever get. 6:07 to be exact, and 2-0 is your score. Horizon being Leesburg in the middle game by 21-0 score. So I've mentioned it throughout this game. Certainly a surprise that it's only 2-0, just a safety. Horizon certainly looked at the beginning, driving twice inside Wekiva territory. That was going to be another convincing victory, but the defense came up big. They did catch a break on the first possession. Self-inflicted mistake, a fumble on the snap. Sampson unable to hold on to the ball, and it started rolling around when he tried to hand it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's been my observation that
but the other possessions, Wekiva's defense has earned their own stops.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been my observation that Wekiva the defense has been better on the pass rush and on the secondary than they have been on traditional D-line plays, because when Horizon played the game that they played in the first quarter, Wekiva's defense was very effective against that. But now that they've switched more to, frankly, what Leesburg was doing earlier, Wekiva has struggled to keep up. I think I might have, is that a penalty marker? It sure was. Flag on the play. Holding is called against the Horizon offense. That's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of the down. So Wekiva catches a little bit of a break there. That Horizon takes 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Still, though, if Horizon sticks to their adapted game plan, which seems to be working for them, the other advantage that has for Horizon is that it keeps the clock running relatively more than the style of play they were using in the first quarter. So we'll see if the play selection changes again, but at this point, I think they probably stick with what's working. I mean, a 2-0 victory is a little bit Pyrrhic, but it's still a victory, right?
Yeah, absolutely. To use the old cliche, there's no other way to put it, but you don't get points for how pretty or aesthetically pleasing. You just get points for winning. It goes in the win column, regardless of whether you win by 56 or 2.
Now here's the flip side of that, though. If Wekiva's defense can make the stop here, then all of their other foibles don't matter, because one score, even a field goal, can win this for Wekiva, and they've got just about the right amount of time left on the clock. That if they make the stop here, and here, like I said, this is kind of, I know we switch sides of the field, but we're kind of in that same no man's land. I don't think there's a lot. I don't think Horizon kicks a field goal from here unless they've got a rock star kicker that's already in late season form. There's certainly no point in punting from here. So,
yeah, you're looking at about a 42-yard field goal. Ball's at around the 25. And there's
that famous play again. On 4th down, it's the QB keeper from Hunter Sampson that will give the Hawks their first offensive score of the game. That'll make it 8-0 with 3:48 remaining in the second quarter. So Horizon finally has offensive points in the book on both portions of their night. 21 against Leesburg, now 6 against Wekiva. I guess are they going to, it looks like they may be going, no, they're going to go for the kick. It doesn't really matter at this point. If field goals were likely to come into play, then maybe. But
So snap, ball down, kick up, over the line, and it's good. 9-0, 3:48 remaining.
Well. NFHS and YouTube are a simulcast, so they're both getting the same. Now,
so Wekiva has its work cut out for it. 3:48 remaining, down by 2 scores. They line up, remain with trips on the near sideline. Out of the shotgun, the quick pass, tip, incomplete. Second hit jarred the ball loose.
Pass intended for Robert Hollis falls incomplete. That brings up 2nd and 10 now for the Mustangs. And yet now Wekiva's in a bit of a pickle because you got a 2-score game. There's literally nothing you can do, even with 2-point conversions, to win this in 1 score. And onside kicks are not an option tonight because you can't do defense on kicking plays anyway. So, flag on the play. So I don't know in 3 minutes and 40 seconds how you get 2 drives in as we get an offsides called on the Hawks defense. That's a 5-yard donation to the Mustang cause and a replay of first down.
And that'll make it 3rd and long now.
Flag on the play. I think the referee is asking Horizon's coaching staff whether they want to take the loss of down or the yards. Holding is called against the Mustang offense. That penalty is declined. The Hawks choose the loss of down instead. So 3rd and 9 coming up for Wekiva. And yeah, I totally agree with the Hawks coaching staff there. I'd rather, that play wasn't that spectacularly successful even with the holding. I'd rather have the loss of down.
So 3rd and long. Quick pass completed, but way short. Good job by Horizon again to immediately wrap up the receiver and not let the receiver get behind the defense as well.
The pass is complete, but insufficient, as it'll pick up a gain of 3 yards and bring up 4th and 6 for Wekiva from their own 29-yard line. So now, Wekiva really doesn't have a choice here. They got to go for it.
Yeah, with 2:15 remaining, clock continues to tick.
Let's see the Wekiva quarterback there trying to figure out what it is that he wants. Timeout, Wekiva. Their second timeout. So 2 minutes and 1 second remaining on the clock. Then the Mustangs will have a tall order ahead of them when we come back from the timeout. And you saw, even as we were going into that timeout, Wekiva didn't quite seem to have an action plan ready to go there.
So I want to point out here on a side mark, for those younger audience, Mark's playing Schools Out by Alice Cooper. So I'm sure that's not a coincidence, being that school ends next week.
Yes, it was a deliberate choice, although hopefully you can't hear it too loudly, because otherwise YouTube will smite me for that.
And so that should just about do it. Horizon probably just take a couple of knees. So certainly not the the quality of play that we saw Horizon put together against Leesburg, but nonetheless, to go back to the old cliche, what we were talking about earlier, a victory is a victory. You don't get anything special for how aesthetically pleasing or dominant they made. This was a game in which you only needed to make 2 or 3 plays in which to win. Horizon made those plays at the right time. Of course, they got the safety midway early in the second quarter, and then they got the touchdown run from Sampson. It was about 8 yards. Both of them were set up by the defense. And for Wekiva, I think if you're Coach Watts, your thought is, got a lot of work to still do on the offense, but the defense certainly looked a lot better in the second game than they did that first game against Leesburg. Something to build our hat on, to put our hat on, to hang our hat on as we move forward.
The Mustangs request their final timeout.
As we move forward.
It'll be 3rd and 1 when Wekiva comes back from the break. 52 seconds remaining in the game. And again, Neil, I'll offer this as I did in the first game. I respect Coach Watts for this. Yep. I understand that the game outcome doesn't matter. I understand that it's a scrimmage. But if you want to build a championship mentality, you create the atmosphere and treat every game like it's extremely consequential, every moment like it's extremely consequential. So I'll allow this. This makes sense for me. Not that anybody needed my permission.
So again, I think defense is where you're going to be hanging your hat on moving forward. And in particular, the defense seemed to have started to forge, mold, shape a character and identity. And when I say that, I mean having an idea of how they want to attack, the where, why, when of how to attack an opponent that seemed to be much more definitive and conclusive here in the second game against Horizon as opposed to the first game against Leesburg. But you still can't say the same in either of the games when it comes to the offense. So the last 30 seconds, 23 seconds now ticking off. Again, a safety early in this fourth quarter or second quarter, and then the 8-yard run by Sampson, clinching the victory for Horizon, leading to the 9-0 victory. Both were set up by the defense. The touchdown set up by a turnover directly, the defense holding Wekiva inside their 5. Horizon wins both of their games against Leesburg and Wekiva. Leesburg goes 1-1, splits the pair, and Wekiva unfortunately unable to win either. So, Mark, as you always mentioned, this concludes season 19. I'd just like to say a personal thank you to everybody out there. And Mark, take us to the finish line and conclude season 19.
That takes us to the end of our third and final segment of the ball game. 9-0 is the final score. Horizon improves to 2-0 for their contests of the night. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to support your Mustangs tonight and all season long. This concludes season 19 of Mustang Athletics. We will see you next week for graduation at the UCF's Edition Arena, and we'll see you in August for our 20th anniversary season. My thanks, Brady Renner, our camera operator tonight and all season on various sports. Thanks to Neil Fisher, a Popka journalist who has been supporting our live streams, and everyone who has made our athletic operations possible. This is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, wishing you a good night, a great weekend, a great graduation, and a great summer. Congratulations to the class of 2026. We'll see you back here in August.